gotta tell you, I'm kind of fanboying it here because
Really?
I've been watching you from day one, and when I discovered you, I thought, well, first of all, let me tell you, when the first show that I was watching, I I was watching on my big screen TV, and my fiance Amanda came walking in, and she doesn't usually comment on all of the gazillions of podcasts that Gene and I do, but she saw you and she says, "Oh my gosh, she's got the coolest hair on the internet." Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, good for him. Yeah, I used to entertain doing ventriloquism, and I was a musician,
Oh.
so that's what put me through my mission. And then I ended up entertaining on my mission as well.
When he did his farewell, the bishop let him do a ventriloquist act and play the guitar.
He really
The
did?
electric guitar
The
in
electric
sacrament
guitar.
meeting.
In church?
Yeah.
He requested
Hallelujah.
it. He
It's the best
requested
Sunday
it.
ever. Yeah, we've got a bunch of rescues around here. Dogs, guinea pigs, bearded dragon, a tree frog, chickens.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the works.
That's all cool except for the tree frog. I'm afraid of frogs.
Oh, really?
And what's funny is we have two huge bullfrogs in my backyard somewhere. I've never seen them, but they're really loud.
And they've seen you.
I know, right? They're freaking stalking me, waiting till the right moment, and then I'll be swallowed up by them.
Yeah, well, and my name has 2 G's, and so my entire life people would say Meggan just because I didn't know what to do with the extra G.
Yeah, or should it be pronounced Meggan?
I know.
Meggan, yeah.
Right?
I don't know. I asked my mom why they did that, and she said that they thought that's how it was spelled.
Gee, I forgot to acknowledge it, but 3 days ago was the 1-year anniversary that Meggan appeared on Latter Daily Digest.
Wow. Has it really been a year?
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
I know.
Wow. Cool. Okay. Welcome to MoMo NoMo. That's the home of the Mormon No More channel. I'm the happy apostate, Randy C. Watts, and I am happy to be hosting this show with Gene Judson, who I call the Connections Whisperer. He knows everybody, and his channel is Latter Daily Digest, and we're especially excited to have Meggan Hayes as our guest today. Like I told her earlier, I'm kind of a fanboy because, Meggan, I've been watching you for so long, and in my opinion, you're just one of the coolest people on the internet, and I love what you do.
Well,
so
thank
welcome.
you. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. A little nervous because I generally broadcast alone, but yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind just kind of giving us a little bit of a rundown. You have the name of your channel is Generally Unquotable, and you have a very informative news show that, I mean, I've seen consistency by some people, but never have I seen anyone as consistent and thorough as you are. And so I'm curious to know how you got to where you're at right now. If you could give us like a little rundown of your Mormon days and how you decided to depart from the only true church upon the face of the earth, the one and only Mormon church, which is a win for Satan now.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, soon to be, I'm betting, the Church of Jesus Christ. That's it.
Yeah. I don't know how to condense it, but I'm going to try. First of all, yes, it was the Mormon church when I was growing up in the church. I was born in the covenant. I have 13 siblings, and I was raised, 7 sisters and 6 brothers. And I was raised very Mormon in a very strict Mormon household. And we did all the things all the time. We didn't miss family home evening. We didn't miss morning prayer. We went to church every Sunday, even on vacation. I did all 4 years of seminary. I mean, I really was in it to win it. And I met my husband. We got married when I was 20 and he was 22.
And you escaped You escaped the threat of being 21 and neither being married nor going on a mission yet.
Yes, exactly. And I was afraid. So I graduated from Rick's College without a husband or a fiance, which I am a little embarrassed to admit. I was terrified that I was going to be an old maid at 20 years old. And I moved to California and I met my husband and we got married. Well, so we got engaged 2 weeks later. We got married 4 months after that and had our first child 11 months after that. So,
well, that's good, because we know that the church teaches to get married as soon as you can,
mhm.
and don't make it a long engagement, because they're petrified that you might engage in sex.
Yep.
So that's good you got engaged and married right away, so you didn't lose your salvation.
I know. And that was when I was in first grade and my teacher asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I said a mom, because that was the only thing I knew. So that's what I did. I grew up and I became a mom. We had 6 kids in 10 years. And during that
Wow.
time, I finished my bachelor's degree when I was pregnant with our 3rd child,
That's
who's
Mormon
actually a
bona
senior in
fides
high
right
school
there.
now. What's that?
That's Mormon bona fides right there.
I know. I was a Relief
Right.
Society president twice. And when my oldest daughter, who is now 22, when she was 4 or 5 years old, right around kindergarten age, she did something that I didn't want her to do. I don't remember what it was. And I reacted in a way that my dad would have reacted, which was not good. My dad was very strict. He was abusive. It's hard for me to say that even now, but he was. And the minute I did it, my daughter looked at me and I saw myself there looking at my dad. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be that person, but I didn't know another way, right? I knew my family growing up. I knew Mormonism. I knew the church. And so I went to the library and I got some books and I started reading about parenting. And if I trace back, that was the beginning of the end of my Mormonism, because I know a lot of people leave because of church history. And I didn't learn about the problems with church history until after I'd stopped going to church. What happened was I started delving into the psychology of being a good parent, and I realized that God was a terrible parent. And over the years, just very, very slowly, I mean, because that would have been in probably 2007 or 2006, somewhere in there. And I didn't stop going to church until 2018.
That's very similar to Meggan Connor. She said
Really?
that she started a blog online, and it was going to be like what a good parent God is, because she knew that her parents weren't very good parents and that other people in the Mormon church weren't that good at parenting. And after 2 episodes, she was like, well, God isn't a very good parent either. And so that was like something she put on her shelf. Like, why isn't God a very good example for being a parent? Right?
Well, just because he drowns his children if they don't obey, and has them killed, and by the way, if they really disobey, they get thrown into a lake of fire and brimstone, always burning, never consumed.
But
So
remember,
what
he
makes you
loves
think he's a bad parent?
Yeah, he loves
But
you.
he loves you dearly.
He loves you. And he knows more about you than you know about yourself.
Right. Meggan, I must have misunderstood you.
Okay.
It sounded like you said that your oldest daughter was 22.
Yes, my
Like
oldest
that.
daughter is 22.
Well, wait, did you start giving birth when you were like 5?
No,
How can you
let's see.
possibly have a 22-year-old?
I get that a lot, especially when I'm not in a Mormon saturated place and I say I have 6 kids. I just love seeing people's reactions. But yes, I will be or am, what year is it? 2025. I turned 44 this year. So yeah, I have a daughter
Wow.
that's 22 and my youngest is 12. So yeah, 6 kids in 10 years.
Meggan has
If I were-
youthful exuberance.
No kidding. I would have put her at 27, 28. So good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A lot of, I like to tell people that, when the topic of age comes up, I always tell them I'm in my 80s, that I just turned 84. That way, they say, "Oh, you look so good for your age." Because if I tell them that I'm 66, then it's like, oh, thought you
Well,
were
that makes
older.
sense.
I don't know. I would have guessed 50s, but I don't know if I'm a good judge. So
Bless your heart. Well, Gene is a much older friend of mine. He is considerably older than I am.
7 whole days older.
oof.
Yep.
So
Ooh.
he, behind
got
the
a week.
camera, I make him address me as sir.
Sir.
Right.
He's
Yeah.
got
His
a week.
Excellency.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah,
he can't
he's got a
stand up. He
week
can't
on
stand
me.
up until I stand up.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yeah, going for Bednar vibes.
Yeah. Bednar
Right.
vibes.
Yeah.
Bednar
Yeah.
grew up 5 miles away from me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
got that going. And Megan was on our Latter Daily Digest show exactly 1 year ago. And so people can find out more about her upbringing and different things here. And
Mhm.
we've gotten you to 6 kids. And in 2018, something happened with your testimony.
Well, my testimony had been leaving for a really long time. I just didn't want to admit it because it was all I'd ever done and known. And we went to church as a family right before Christmas in 2018. I don't know if it was Christmas. I think it was actually the 23rd was the Sunday before Christmas that year. And we came home and my husband said, "You've got to stop going to church." And I was like, "I can't stop going to church." He's like, "Well, you're miserable there." And he said, "Look, we're all just going to stop going for a little while." And that was the last time we went. And it just, like the prophets have said, the less we went, the easier it got to not go. And it just started to open things up because then I felt like I could listen to more podcasts, Mormon Stories and Radio Free Mormon. And if someone heard me, I didn't feel like I was, an apostate, and just a little bit at a time, because I already thought that God was a bad parent. Then I started to learn that Mormonism wasn't that great either.
Right. Sound like you were
Right.
dying a death of 1,000 commandments, not cuts, but
Yeah, when
commandments.
I was in the church, oh yeah. Yeah, it was hard. I was trying to be everything to everyone all the time. I grew up as a people pleaser in a family where I was sort of a number, and I was, a woman in the church. And so I would tell people that I was happy and that I loved the gospel. And then when I got out, I realized, oh, no, this is what happiness feels like. This is what freedom feels like.
It's
Yeah.
almost like your husband was a religion doctor and he was prescribing abstinence.
Well, yeah, which is funny because so my husband grew up in California and he wasn't, he was very Mormon and he served a mission and he did all those things, but he was not quite as Mormon as I was. And so, and I had already started deconstructing the church in the sense of, God and Jesus and their divinity before I left, but he hadn't deconstructed anything. He'd just never been quite as Mormon as me. But when we stopped going, I really dug into deconstructing and not just continuing the psychological deconstruction, but the deconstruction of the Mormon truth claims and history. And he didn't start doing that until about 2 years ago.
So did Sundays become a little more enjoyable without having to get 6 kids dressed, their socks, their fine? I had 4 kids, excuse me, and I dreaded Sundays, having to find socks that matched and shoes, and everyone's losing their everything. And just to get those 4 kids ready, I can't imagine with 6 how peaceful Sundays became compared to what they had been.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we were not the cool family with the good stuff. And so the kids didn't love church a lot. So getting them ready was kind of a push in that sense. And then when we were at church, I was always trying to protect them because, one of my kids, he had a sketchbook that he would draw in at church. And the other boys in his class took the sketchbook from him while he was at church and wrote a bunch of mean things about him in it and gave it back to him. And then I didn't know this had happened until a while later when one of the other kids said, "Well, this is what they did at church to him." And I'm reading through it. So church was supposed to be this solace and a place. and we lived in a lot of different wards. This was the last one that we went to church in, but it was hard. It was hard. There were wards where we felt more included, but the last one we went to church in, we didn't really feel like we fit in. And that wasn't just my husband and I, but the kids as well. So yeah, not having to go anymore was pretty fun.
I'll bet. I'll bet that was just such a cathartic feeling to, just do your family thing on Sunday, whatever you chose to do, or let the kids do their thing.
Yeah,
So-
I wish I had, I wrote in a journal almost every day from when I was 8 or 10 until I got married, pretty much every day. I was very faithful journal writer, another Mormon checklist thing. And I wish I had been writing in it when I was deconstructing and leaving the church, because I don't remember what we did on those Sundays. I just know we weren't at church anymore. They became a second Saturday where we did the things we did on Saturday, but I don't remember specific feelings of getting up and being like, today's Sunday and I'm not going to church and I'm going to do something else. But there is something that I still, 2018 till now, every day get excited about when I get up is not putting on garments.
Right.
I get excited about that every day. It's still exciting.
I know. It's still exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, because I can just look through my closet and think, what do I feel like wearing today? And it can just be anything in there. When I go to the store, I can look at clothes and I can say, I can pick out any of these that I like, because for so many years, there was such a small portion of things that I could actually get that would cover my garments and be modest. And it was
and not show your porn shoulders.
Yeah, I know. Not put my shoulders out. I mean, now I could, which is just wild to me. I never thought there would be a day where garments wouldn't cover shoulders. That's wild.
So what is it that got you into, you said you journaled, and knowing how your podcast is, I'm sure that your journal was consistent and that you were just diligent in writing in it every day. What got you into doing your newscast?
So one time somewhere, somebody said, if you go into Google and you can set up an alert and then Google will email you news about that subject. And I was like, oh, I should do that about Mormon news, just so I have an idea of what's going on in Mormonism. And this was probably shortly after we left the church. I still have family that's in the church. My husband's entire family's still in the church. And so I just wanted to keep up with it. So I went into Google and I set up an alert, the word Mormon. So then when there's news about Mormons, it would come to my inbox. And at work every morning, I was reading the Mormon news, just grab my cup of coffee and in between helping people read the news. And trying to think, it was after we moved to Texas, I didn't get a job outside of the home after we moved here. I'm a graphic designer. That's what I went to school for. And so I thought, I'll just freelance for a while, get a feel for the area, and then maybe get something later. But reading the Mormon news in the mornings and doing my graphic design work. And I thought, you know what? Every morning I get up, I make myself a cup of coffee and I read the Mormon news. I should just read a portion of it on my TikTok channel, which was a pretty small channel at the time. And because if I'm reading it, maybe other people will want to hear it. So that's how I started. And it was very rough at the beginning, where I would just kind of read a paragraph and maybe throw around a few ideas about it. And I remember I even turned my phone around and would show pictures on my computer that I wanted to be on the news. And
totally
so
professional.
Yeah. I mean, it was really high tech and professional. And that's how I started. I just had my cup of coffee, and I was reading whatever article stood out to me from the Mormon news. And that was I think it was November of whatever year we moved here.
2023.
Yeah. It would have been my very first newscast.
And then about 5 months later, you jumped into YouTube.
Yeah. And honestly, I think TikTok is maybe going to go by the wayside for me. YouTube is where I'm going to put my focus. But yeah, I got into, why did I even start going on YouTube? Was that the time they were going to get rid of TikTok? And then I don't remember.
Probably, yeah. The rumors were spreading, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I was like, well, if TikTok goes away, that's where my following is. I've built up this newscast now, and I want to keep going. So that's when I started YouTube.
I thought that you were going to tell me that you majored in journalism, because when you do the news, you take on this journalistic human who, I love the cadence that you present your information, and you don't interject. Like when Gene and I talk about the church, you can tell in our voices the ridiculousness of things, but you just tell it like it is. You tear the church apart in such a professional way. If you don't mind, I want to play a clip of you real quick.
Sure, yeah.
And just because people are going to say, "Oh yeah, I know her."
Mm.
Yeah, she's.
And I'll say she's always sound like a graphic artist doing the news, but really doing it well.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you used to be more dispassionate. I've noticed a lot more of like expounding on what's going on more, and I really appreciate that. My wife and I were going on a walk today, and we were listening to you, and I was saying, Meggan is so good at explaining, getting down to the nitty gritty about what was shitty about what Elder Renlund just said, we'll say.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly. Yeah.
And speaking of Elder Renlund,
Yeah,
you
speaking
brought
of Elder,
you brought him up.
speaking of the devil, yeah, this is, I think this is one of your special newscasts, because I know you do your daily news, and then you have special presentations for maybe the days that you're occupied or have something you have to do, and then you can run one of these special broadcasts.
Yep.
But I just want to give people an idea of what I'm talking about, because of your, like I said, your cadence and all of that. It's incredible. Let's listen to your style, and this is a phrase or a statement that you made that this is what I love about you. You just very mildly and calmly tear the church apart.
And if we think of it this way, then I think we should come to the conclusion there's enough judging. We need more compassion. There are enough feelings of pride and superiority. We need more humility. There's enough guilt. We need more encouragement. There's enough exclusion. We need more inclusion. There's enough division. We need more unity.
If only the Mormon church system could do those things. Stop excommunicating people for simply telling the truth about church history. Stop letting David Bednar travel around and berate people for standing while they sing. Stop teaching members that natural sexual urges and desires are dirty and sinful. Stop preaching that loving gay relationships are an abomination. And stop telling the world that the Mormon church is the one true church on the earth.
True freaking Shay.
Yeah, well, I think part of this process for me is that, and I don't know if people see this all the time, but I am deconstructing on air with everybody else. And so the best thing for me and my brain and the way that I work and think is to take what they say almost sentence by sentence sometimes and break it down and say out loud what needs to be said, seriously, sometimes sentence by sentence. And so that's how I operate when I'm writing the scripts and getting ready is he said this is what I need to say in response, because then he says it and my brain, when I say the thing out loud in response, hears it, and then it helps me to deconstruct and to remember, because I have a Mormon brain, right? I was born in the covenant. Those things were put into my brain before I was born. My mom was reading scriptures, to my older siblings. And so to make new pathways in my brain, it's so helpful for me to take things just a little chunk at a time and say what I need to hear now to understand how I can function now and kind of quiet that Mormon part of my brain.
That's right. Parse it out.
So you're learning as you go.
Yeah.
You're learning as you teach.
Yes.
Right.
Well, and I have been studying, like I said, because my journey out of the church involved a lot of psychology. I have read so many books about brain function and therapy and all of those things. And so that's where I come to it. I listen to a lot of podcasts about the history of the church and breaking down the Book of Mormon and the Book of Abraham and those things, but that's not ultimately what helps me feel sane now that I'm out of the church. It's coming at it from a psychological perspective and the bite model from Steve Hassan and those sorts of things.
And in a way, Renland was basically saying, do as we say, not as we do. And we're, if Jesus hasn't come yet, it's because you guys out there aren't doing the right thing. So victim blaming, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, this leads me to my next topic, and that is you're a woman who has 6 kids, who has, I'm sure, a ton of things that you need to do every day. How in the hell do you prepare and present, not just from time to time, but every freaking day? Every morning, you're so dependable that you're going to present what I consider to be the best news show regarding post-Mormon, the best one online on the internet. How do you get that prepared every day? I mean, do you just not sleep?
So first off, I can read very quickly. That's something that I've just always been able to do. I think that's just a genetic thing that I was born with. So that does help. But I also treat it a lot like a full-time job, which I can do because of the privilege that I have. My husband works full-time. He's very successful in his job. And now, since we moved to Texas, he provides enough financial backing for our family that I am not required to freelance. I do still do that sometimes because it's fun and I love to do graphic design, but I can devote a lot of time to preparing. So I get up early and I do my workout and I get the kids off to school. And that's another thing is I do have 6 kids, but my youngest is 12. So they're at school for the majority of the day. The summers are a little more chaotic, but I get the kids off to school and then I try to record right as soon as they're out the door at 8:30. So then I can spend time editing. And once I post a video, then I go right into preparing for the next day's video. And I usually get done by the time the kids get home from school, about 4 o'clock. So I really do treat it like a full-time job. And that's how I do it. Yeah.
I knew that you must work out because I hope this doesn't come off as sexist or anything, but looking at your images on your videos, you know, you have all of these photographs and you can just tell you're just fit. You're a fit individual. And
I think
so
that's
I thought,
a lot of genetics as well. And because after I had my kids, it would be really easy for me to get back to, you know, some sort of pre-pregnancy body or whatever that means. And people say, what's your secret? And honestly, a lot of it is genetic. I think I just, this is the body that I was born into. So yeah. But I do work out a lot. I enjoy getting up and I used to run a lot, but I injured my hip a couple years ago. So I do more walking and weights now, but it's my time where I get to put my headphones on, you know, and the 6 kids are not with me. And that's when I listen to my podcasts. So,
well, I think that genetics, okay, maybe that has something to do with it, but the fact that you work out a lot has a huge thing to do with it, I'm sure.
Yeah. But I know the working out, I mean, obviously there's physical repercussions to that, good consequences there. But a lot of it for me is mental. It just helps me function. If I get up and I get outside, I don't work out at the gym. I actually hate going to the gym. I have some free weights in my garage, but mostly I just walk in my neighborhood, ride my bike in the neighborhood. I just love to be outside in the early mornings or the late nights. I mean, I am in Texas now, so it's pretty stifling during the middle of the day. But even when we lived in Fairbanks, if I could be outside and it wasn't 50 below, I would go outside.
Well, you know, Gene, I know that he walks a lot with his wife, Michelle. They're half the time I'm talking to him, he's on a walk.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, he doesn't look near as fit as you do.
It's the genetics, and maybe he should perm his hair like we spoke about earlier, and then we just
that
bring
might
it all
be a good one.
together.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I would like to
Mhm.
get extensions.
I know a gal, so
Do you? You got
Yeah.
a person? You got a gal?
she could give you some extensions.
So you are an anomaly online, really, with all that you do, and the incredible. And I know I speak for every human being that watches your show. We hope you keep it up because it's such a success, and you do such a good job. I want to ask you though. You saw my little issues that I had just trying to switch to a clip. And yet your editing is kind of off the charts. I mean, when you're speaking, suddenly the image shows up, and I don't have any clue of how you do that, but
A lot of prayer.
and I don't see you fidgeting and trying to, it just happens. It's just natural. What the heck? Tell us about that.
I record with my iPhone, and about, I don't know, a couple
Blows
months
me
ago,
away.
I got a teleprompter. So I have a Mac and I have an iPhone. So I can put my iPhone on the teleprompter and then record through my iPhone, but I can see it on my computer. So what I do is I record my whole episode first, and then I literally just use iMovie and I go in and add the images. So then when I'm talking, I don't even know what image necessarily I'm going to put up, because I go back and when I re-listen and edit and take out times that I stumble over my words or that I laugh really hard, maybe I just take that part out sometimes, or or if I say things where I'm like, oh, that maybe was a little too harsh, I'll take those out and then I'll add the pictures then. So then it is more seamless. Yeah. So it's not like a live broadcast. It's not like this. And if it was, you would see all the times that I make little mistakes. I just edit those out.
Well, I have an iPhone. I've got my MacBook Air,
Mhm.
and I have a whole huge. I'm a writer, and I have multiple screens, but my production still looks kind of kindergarten compared to yours. So I'm looking forward to improving that.
So I have a background in graphic design, so I know how to use Photoshop really well. A lot of designers use Illustrator, but because I went to BYUI and was actually a photography major and I took a couple of graphic design classes, I use Photoshop, which a lot of real graphic designers would probably think that wasn't great. But I know a lot about Photoshop. So that's the other thing with my images, is that I can manipulate an image so it fits perfectly in my video, which I think does help.
It really flows smoothly. And I mean, just today's newscast is an example, as you're talking about bishops playing games with a 15-year-old, and which is disgusting, and that's a whole different topic.
Mm-hmm.
But as you're talking about it, then pops up a bishop's office, talking to a young girl, and I don't know, it just works. It's a seamless transition, where with me, it's, I'm going to be editing this to where it looks like it's seamless.
See, and one thing, Randy, I look at it this way. Meggan does such a great job on the show. She's consistent. She repeatedly has stuff for us just about every day. I look at it as she loves me so much. She wants to do all that for me. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the first thing she did when I made contact with her. She expressed her undying love for you, and that she does most of this for you.
So, and everybody gets the benefit of that.
He's been there from the start.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me tell you about Gene. I call him the connections whisperer,
Mm-hmm.
because, I go out and I find people that I think would be interesting to interview. And about 9 out of 10 names that I submit saying, hey, let's interview this person, he's like, oh, already did it. I already interviewed him. You being one of them. But I didn't care, because I wanted to get the chance to interview you as well.
And I say, Randy, here's a homework assignment. List every single person I've had on as a guest or co-host. That way you'll know.
Yeah, no, that would take me too long.
But there are hundreds that we still want to be on the show. And so if anybody's
course.
watching this that is a creator and wants to come on the show, contact Randy or I. And so one thing, we talked about how you, Meggan, sort of changed from just like a straight delivery of the news and to be dispassionate so that you didn't have to break stride and seem a little bit more professional. Was there a time at some point that you decided that you were going to be a little bit more editorial and you just committed, or did it slowly just become more and more?
It was a slow progression for sure. Where when I first started, it was very clunky. I think I should maybe bring out one of those first videos and just show it because it would be funny. But and then I realized that for it to be equally as helpful to me as the people who are listening, that, like I said, I wanted to transition more to that sentence by sentence or section by section breakdown of this is what was said, or this is what the church did. And this is why when I personally was in the church, it was harmful to me. If you out there feel the same, that's great, and just go through that over and over and over again. Because when we grow up in the church, when I grew up in the church, those things were consistently put into my brain every day, every minute, every family home evening, every time I went to church. And so, now if 5 days a week someone gets to hear, this is what Dale Renlund said, and this is why it's harmful, then hopefully they can start to unwind that as well.
Right.
Well, and you don't just read, you catch them doing, you catch all of the hypocritical things that they say. And, it's not just a matter of reading. You read, but then you analyze and you're like, oh, wait a minute. He said this here, but he said this here. On today's show, as an example, you I don't know, you've just got a way. You just got a way of doing it. My next door neighbor is a very, very famous news anchor here in Spokane, locally famous.
Mm-hmm.
And she's really good friends with my fiance, Amanda. And it's so funny because when we talk to her as a regular old human being, she's just running around trying to keep her kids in order, and she talks one way.
Mm-hmm.
Then when we watch her on the news, it's like a whole different ball game.
Mm-hmm.
She takes on this persona. And I feel like that's the same with you. That's a good thing, by the way.
Yeah.
You put on your journalistic voice and your cadence, and you just boom, boom, carry it through, and you make these points that would slip by so many others. And I'm like, damn, go Meggan.
And Meggan delivers good news as well. She's good news.
Yeah.
She delivers the good news.
Mm-hmm. So when I was in school, I specifically remember when I was a freshman in high school, I was in a basic English class. After that, I was always taking advanced placement courses. But when I was a freshman in high school, I took just a basic English class. And about, a month in or so, the other students in the class realized that when we were reading aloud as a class, if I read it, it got done a lot quicker. So they would say, they didn't even know my name. They were like, can we have the fast girl read? And so I spent a lot of time reading out loud, starting when I was a freshman in high school. So I have had unintentionally a lot of practice doing that. And then what was the other part of there was something else I was going to say, but that was one of the things where just the cadence has come because I've done a lot of reading out loud, not knowing that I was going to be doing this someday.
Right. It was all part of God's plan for you.
Yeah.
And let's just touch on your appearance. I think it was Radio Free Mormon actually referred to you as a hippie? Hippie girl?
So I don't know that Radio Free Mormon's ever referred to me, but when Jacob Hansen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean Radio Free Mormon.
Jonah Barnes picked up one of my videos because I talked about their site Gathering Israel. Yeah, he called me a wealthy hippie.
Yes, that's it. And I thought, actually, what a compliment.
I know. I
Because
mean, I'm not
you're,
wealthy, but yeah, hippie.
well,
Yeah,
you're
you're
rocking.
thinking of Ward Radio, Randy, right? And so you got Ward
Yes,
Radio
Ward
and Radio Free
Radio.
Mormon. And so Ward Radio makes me think that they are radio shackled Mormons instead of radio free
Right.
Mormons.
Yes.
Or SM. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, that's exactly what I was thinking. And I just thought, actually, you're paying her great. I'm a hippie.
Mhm.
If you saw the pants I was wearing, they're what I call elephant pants,
Mhm.
and they're all colorful and totally hippie.
Nice.
I love the hippie life. So I'm thinking that's a great compliment. I would love for people to call me a hippie.
And I've
They
always
can't,
used that word as a compliment to people who are, loving and earth friendly and just have kind of a holistic lifestyle. Yeah.
yeah. And I think you fit that perfectly. And then you've got the cool dreads.
hmm
Have you always worn your hair like that?
No, so I've always wanted to, and maybe not always, but I remember going to Yellowstone one time way back and seeing a gal in the restroom who had a similar hairstyle and thinking that it was really awesome. And my hair is really curly, 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 curly in the back and very like this kind of straight in the front. And it's incredibly thick and there's a lot of it. So I spent years and years either trying to curl the front of my hair or trying to straighten the back. And then I had 6 kids and I just didn't have time for that. So then I had shaved all around except just this top portion for many years. And I got tired of just having really not a lot of hair because I have a lot of hair. Even when I just had this portion, the hairstylist, I would go in and I'd say, you need to thin it. And she would be like, oh, and then she'd get in there. She'd be like, oh my word, you have so much hair. I'm like, I know. So then I was like, you know what? I know there's a controversy when it comes to this hairstyle on someone who's white. And so for about 5 years, I wanted to do it, but I just kept putting it off. And I would talk to locticians, people who do this, and every single one of them is a person of color who I spoke to, and they would be like, you should do it. Your hair is perfect for this. Your hair in the back, if I closed my eyes and I put my hands on your hair in the back, I would think you were a person of color. And I was like, yes, I have been told that. And so I finally just did it. And that was, I think, part of my deconstruction as well, is just knowing that that's what I wanted. And there would probably be a lot of opinions about it, but that it was okay to do it just for me and not worry about what the, white man at the pulpit was saying or what other people were saying. And so, yeah, I've had it for it'll be 2 years in October. And I'm sad I waited that long because when I was a kid, my hair started to do this naturally every morning when I got up. And if I had just left it alone
Run
and
with
stopped,
it. Yeah.
and stopped teasing it and straightening it and perming it and whatever, then this would have happened a long time ago. But it makes me feel at home in my body and saves me a ton of time. So win-win.
Well, any of those naysayers would never say a word if you would just incorporate a Jamaican accent. Because it doesn't matter whether you're of color or white. Everyone in Jamaica has the dreads. I think it's so cool. I love Jamaica. But
I have not been there, but I do appreciate this hairstyle a lot. And actually now living outside of Houston, white people are the minority. I think we're between 20 and 30% of the population here. So I see a lot more people with similar hair, and they always compliment me on how well I take care of mine. And I carry a stack of business cards for my loctician, and she is not sad when I hand them out to anybody and everybody. So I'm supporting a small business and just loving my hair really for the first time in my life. So
yay.
yeah.
Gene, I know I've heard you talk before. Do you have any desire to incorporate dreadlocks into your look?
Nope. I dread that.
You could start with the beard.
Yeah, I could braid my beard
Right?
if I get it long enough.
Right. Yeah.
But
Well,
anyhow, so Randy, I have her website that you could press share on. I've noticed that I can't press share. And so
you can't?
Yeah. So
We need to fix that because, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. Let's take a look at that.
And so this
Oh.
is Meggan's YouTube channel, Generally Unquotable. Tell us how you came up with that title.
Oh my word. So I started my TikTok channel far before I started talking about news. And I would just talk about whatever. We lived in Fairbanks, Alaska at the time. And so I would talk about stuff that was particular to Fairbanks. Sometimes I would talk about Mormonism. I was reading Luna Lindsay Corbden's book about deconstructing cult mind control. And so sometimes I would talk about that. And I was thinking about a name for my channel. And I thought, when I share my thoughts about Mormonism, oh yeah, that's the one.
Recovering Agency.
Recovering Agency. Yes, I have a copy.
Yeah.
I usually have it sitting on my desk, every other week or so. I change my stack of books, and that's in the
I'm sharing
background on
books.
my.
Here's Randy's book
What's that? Ooh,
that he wrote.
nice. Well, I need to get it.
Feeling Empty.
I wrote that when my wife passed away from cancer.
Oh wow,
It's Feeling Empty, How to Fill an Empty Heart. So
I'd love to read it. I'm an avid reader, and I don't often read fiction. So,
well, you know what? If you will send me your mailing address, I would be happy to send you a copy.
oh well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So the name
is Generally Unquotable kind of a self-deprecating.
Well, no. So it was this idea that once I share my story or my thoughts about Mormonism, there will be people who identify and feel similarly. And then my story becomes attached to other people's stories. And so it's not quotable in the sense that it's no longer just
Unique.
mine or unique to me. It becomes something that I share with other people and that they then share with me. And that's how I came up with the name. Now that I think about it, it's long and unwieldy and it's really hard to spell. But at the time, it was just this idea that like once I put my thoughts out there, I don't own them anymore in the sense that other people then incorporate them into their story. And so then I was like, well, they're not quotable, so they're unquotable, and then generally unquotable. So in my mind, it made perfect sense at the time. And then once I was doing the newscast, it just was already there. Yeah, I think I've thought about a new name at some point, but I don't even know what it would be. Like my husband and I I have a Redbubble site, which is like you can sell art, but you don't have to produce it all. You just put it on there. And then if someone buys something, they produce a mug with your art on it or whatever. And mostly I put stuff on there so I can order it for myself or friends. And I don't know if you've seen those shirts that say, I love hot moms or I love hot dads, but I made one that said, I love hot drinks. Yeah. Yeah. And so Called to Slay, like these are just things that I mostly send to other former Mormon friends that I have. Elder exorcist, everybody has an elder on their mission that's an exorcist. But yeah, and then some of the old stuff that I did in my art. But I was like, maybe it could be like my site is about spilling the tea, but it's not really gossip. So, but then I was like, it could be, spilling the hot drinks daily. Anyway, so it could just be called Hot Drinks, which might be fun, but it's been generally unquotable. I don't know if people would even notice if I changed it or if it would matter. But that was the idea behind Generally Unquotable.
Oh, that's very cool. I've wondered if I should change my name from MoMo NoMo, because I don't know if people even understand what that means.
I mean, I understood right away.
I could change it to What's on Your Mind.
Ooh, that's catchy.
So,
I know. It just, and because I'm a designer, I can design whatever logo I want to design, and I could make a new fancy one. And that's the easy, fun part.
That's cool.
Or
I need to
Randy is dandy.
While eating candy.
While eating candy.
That's too far.
I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Michelle can help me, but I want to put MoMo going down the right side and NoMo on the, or vice versa. MoMo NoMo going down beside my little devil. That's my logo. So people understand why there's a little devil up there.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, that's
it's fun.
That's a 10-second little design job right there.
that is because it'll be. I guarantee it'll be 10 days for me.
Oh no!
To figure out how in the hell to get the letters going down like that.
Oh no, we can do that. That's easy.
Really?
Oh yeah.
If you would help me do that, I would mow your lawn on Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah, then I'll have to pay my child
Okay.
$20 to do it. So sweet.
Yeah, I want to be your kid now.
That's a Popeye reference, by the way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, Megan, I cannot tell you how enjoyable this has been and what an opportunity it is for me to get to know you and listen to your story. It's it really makes me enthusiastic about continuing with my channel
Mhm.
because everyone has a style. Gene's got his style, and I have mine, and the two of us work together well,
Mhm.
bouncing off of each other. But the what you're doing is just incredible, and I commend you on what you've been able to accomplish, especially, by the way, with the size of family that you have, 6 kids, and I can't imagine how many grandkids you're going to have in 20 years.
Well, I have grand pets right now, so we have begun.
Okay, it started. Gene, do you have anything else you'd like to say to Megan?
all I can say is that it's one thing I was thinking of is when we were kids, the only Mormon news we got was if you were rich or something and you got the weekly Deseret news that came. I think it's like a Sunday supplement for people that live in Salt Lake and get the newspaper, the Deseret News. But you could have that mailed, and so like my grandma had those. And then in the Ensign, once a month, or other things, everything was just like once a month, and it's all good news. It's all like, here's how great we are. There's nothing wrong with God's church.
Mhm.
Everything works smoothly.
It's
There's
perfect.
what could go wrong? Sounds like a good title for like a movie called Westworld, right? But anyhow, having real news about the church, whether it's good or bad, or think something to watch out for, or something to be proud of, every day is a stark difference to what we had growing up. And I think you do a great service to everybody for what you're doing. A lot of the other good newscasts are once a week, and you're out there doing it every day. And part of your experience has encouraged Randy and Meggan Connor and I to start a weekly show on Sunday called the Salt Lake Expositor, where we try to democratize the news a little bit. We say some of the headlines and we try to get calls in and let the people talk about how the news is affecting them. But you were in a way an inspiration for that.
Awesome.
And
Well,
we have run clips of your show on
aw.
various occasions. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I always have the best intentions to watch all of the other podcasts, but yeah, it's hard.
It's hard.
I listen
You'd
to them
have
while
to-
I work out. Like that's my little niche where I can carve out some time. But I do like to try and show up on other people's platforms every once in a while and just be in the comments. It's fun and feel that sense of community. So I'll try to get in there.
Well,
Do you guys do it live?
Yes,
Jen?
we
You're
do.
having people. Okay. Yeah.
We do 2 live shows a week.
Wow.
Megan Connor and Gene and I do the Salt Lake Expositor.
Mhm.
And then on Tuesday nights, tonight, we do a live show called Tuesdays with Tim. And it's with Tim Rathbone,
Mhm.
Megan Connor, Gene, and I, and a few other regulars. And it's a panel discussion, but it's live as well. Our Sunday show is a call-in type show where people
Mhm.
can call in, but we always invite people to come into the studio
Mhm.
and offer their opinions. So if while you're working out you don't have a particular podcast to listen to, look for the Salt Lake Expositor. You'll get kind of a kick out of that, I think.
Nice. Well, and I'd love to show up for a live show too.
We would love that. As a matter of fact, tonight on Tuesdays with Tim,
Mhm.
it starts at 7 o'clock
Pacific time.
Pacific Standard Time, and
Okay.
so that would be 9 o'clock your time. And it airs on Latter Daily Digest, on MoMo NoMo, and I think on Megan's
Third
channel, the _verse.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'd love to have you pop in. That would I know that the whole panel would really appreciate that.
Yeah. tonight's show, the topic is the new church essays.
Oh,
Where
wow.
they're trying to explain away again some more of the quirkiness.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot to unpack there. That's for sure. Yeah. I'll see if I can. If I put it on my calendar and I set an alarm, then I will be there.
We always post a link in the chats so that you can come on in.
Okay. Yeah.
And no matter what the subject is on Tuesdays with Tim, we always end up cutting up and having a blast. And then the after show is even blastier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's irreverent, and then the after show is
Even
no
more
holds
so.
barred.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and
So-
I was going to say this earlier. That is why I do what I do, because when I get up in the morning, I am excited to sit down at my computer and do what I do. There is never a boring Mormon news story anymore. If I'm reading straight from the church news, it is so exciting to me because I bring it in, and when it comes back out, it's something that helps me heal. And I wake up with a smile on my face, and I'm just jazzed to get on my computer and read from LDS.org.
And as much joy as you glean from that, I guarantee you your listeners do too. There's not a day goes by that you're not the first podcast that I listen to.
Oh,
So
that
it's
is
generally
flattering and terrifying to me. So thank you.
well, I know I'm not the only one, by the way. So
Yeah.
you should be flattered. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's generally. Oh, go ahead. Gene.
Generally Unquotable. This is the second anniversary show, and so in a year, we'll look for you to come back and see the growth that you've experienced over the next year.
I'd love that. I love that. This makes me
Absolutely.
totally nervous and gives me anxiety, but it was okay because you guys were just fun and easy to talk to.
We're so damn cool. It's
I
hard to
know.
be nervous when you're talking to us.
I'm nervous until I start the show. So, like 2 hours before, I'm like, oh, it's still 2 hours away. And then I'm overthinking everything. And then once it actually happens, then I do a lot better. Yeah.
You did great.
Well, thank you.
So everyone listening, Meggan is an example of the incredible guests that we have on. We strive to bring people in that are going to edify you and that are going to entertain you as well. So if you're listening, we would appreciate, as always, just hit the like button and the subscribe, not just to MoMo NoMo, not just to Latter Daily Digest, which is Gene's channel, and not just to us, but to generally Unquotable. I guarantee if you're not a regular listener, you will be once you hear the first episode. And this is brought to you by MoMo NoMo.
That's right.
Anyway, thank you so much for coming on the show, Meggan. We greatly appreciate having you come on, especially with the busy schedule that you have.
Yeah,
and Gene, as always, thank you for co-hosting. Usually it's the other way around. I'm co-hosting with you. Now you're co-hosting with me, and I appreciate that greatly. And to all of you who are watching, share and subscribe. And I have to say this as we go out, if you don't mind. I have to say, in honor of our guest, okay, I absolutely hope you have the day that you deserve.
Here you go.